When I was asked to do a talk on heroism, I first thought about the legendary heroes like Ernest Shackleton. Shackleton was one of the early polar explorers in the 1900s. And he was famous for really getting stuck in the Antarctic when his ship was crushed in the pack ice. But he became a hero through his absolute determination in getting every member of his team back home safely. The more I started to think about what heroism is, I realised that heroes are in our everyday lives. They could be a teacher, coach, parent, even one of our friends. They're the people in our own lives who inspire, motivate and enable us to follow our dreams. Today I'd like to share with you my journey and how a hero that I met along the way enabled me to achieve an impossible dream. Now that's me when I was 19, back in the late 80s. Now, I know what you're thinking, cool pink surfboard, right? I was 6'3" and bulletproof. Now I love surfing, snow skiing, my job as a carpenter. I just love being outside doing really physical stuff. But I also had a dream. As long as I can remember, I've always dreamt of flying. Even when a plane flew overhead, I would look up and just imagine that one day that'll be me. But late one night, in July 1988, it all changed. I was on my motorbike and I took the corner too fast or too late. The bike hit the gutter. I went over the handlebars, head first into a tree, shattering the 5th vertebrae in the neck. I was left with quadriplegia. I was trapped in a body that couldn't move, and I could barely breathe. I lay in bed, in hospital, I lay in bed for 3 months, completely immobilised. About all I could do all day was really stare at the ceiling as I waited for the vertebrae in my neck to heal. As I lay there, I'd often try to imagine what my life was going to be like living in a wheelchair. But no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't see my future. I felt as if my life and all my dreams were gone. The doctors told me, I certainly wouldn't walk again or get any use of my fingers. But the best I could hope for was really being able to push a wheelchair along flat ground. But from the accident, I was left just 6% of my physical function. You're probably wondering what that means, right? To put that into perspective, I have no finger function at all. All I can do is that. Can't lift my hands up the other way. I had no movement from the armpits down. I had biceps, muscles here, so I can do this. No triceps, the muscle in the back, so I put my arm up in the air. Oh, falls on my head. Makes it really hard trying to pick your nose when you're lying in bed at night. When I started rehab, I had to relearn all the basic things I once took for granted. I felt as if I was a baby, had to relearn everything I used to be able to do. I had to relearn how to pick up small objects without use of fingers, to brushing my teeth, brushing my hair, well, when I had hair anyway. I even had to relearn how to feed myself, where I get more on me than in my mouth. After 9 very long months, I finally went home and I slowly, ever so slowly, started to rebuild my life again. I couldn't go back to doing my job as a carpenter, so I went back and studied engineering and eventually became project manager. It took me 8 years to achieve one of my biggest goals, which was moving out of my parents' place and living independently. Over the years, my life slowly came together. And over time, I even started to dream again. I started to dream of what I thought was impossible. And that was my dream of flying. In 2005, I went to the Avalon Air Show, which is just down the road, not far from here. And that's when I saw the most amazing aircraft. It's called the microlight trike. And a trike is basically a really big powered hang glider. And it's so simple to fly. You have a horizontal bar in front of you, you push it left and right to make steer in the air, and make it climb and descend, is throttle the engine up and down. It was just so simple. When I saw this, it immediately grabbed my imagination. And I remember thinking to myself, I can actually fly this. I was so excited. Can you imagine how I felt? In that moment, my dream to fly was reborn. But my initial excitement soon turned to frustration and disappointment because I couldn't find anyone to teach me to fly. I soon realised that the biggest obstacle wasn't going to be so much my physical disability, but people's attitudes. People's attitudes as to what they think I can do. Even when I approached a couple of instructors, they basically said, in a nice way of course, what, you're quadriplegic? Forget it. I came so close to giving up. That was until I met Steve Ruffles. Now Steve was in his mid-50s, a really gentle person, but the thing that was so different about him was that he just oozed optimism. When I called him up, I was really nervous because I knew he was pretty much my last chance. I just explained the situation to him and said, look, would you be willing to give me a go? And he just said, yeah, sure, can't see a better problem. I actually don't think he really thought the whole thing through at all. How I didn't care. I couldn't believe I finally found somebody who was willing to take a chance on me. Now you have to put teaching me to fly into context. Steve was entering the unknown. No one with my level of disability had ever flown one of these things before. So to take on this daunting challenge took someone who was very brave. I flew with Steve day after day in a warm, smooth afternoon air over bright northeastern Victoria. One of the things I remember the most is the strong smell of eucalyptus that would just waft up from the valleys below. And surprisingly, I actually got hanger flying pretty quickly and got pretty good at it. But steering the aircraft on the ground, well, that was a totally different story. I found that a really huge challenge with my limited arm function, plus also the hand controls I was using at the time. Early on when I was sort of practicing and just trying to get the hang of steering the aircraft on the ground, at the time it didn't have any brakes on the aircraft, and in hindsight, it really wasn't the smartest thing to do. This one time I was taxiing down the side of the runway and totally misjudged my speed, going way too fast. I couldn't turn and ploughed straight to the side of the hangar, smashing in the front end of the trike and putting a nice big dent in the wall. When the aircraft came to rest, as I sat there, I just closed my eyes and thought, what have I done? I've blown it. Steve came up, took a look at me, look at the damage. I just sat there thinking, that's it. It's over. But he didn't say anything. All he said was, let's just practice a bit more on your steering. After 17 hours of training, I did the first solo flight, which was probably the scariest, most exciting experience of my life. Now, I love flying, because when I sit in that cockpit, my disability doesn't matter anymore. I have total freedom. Steve is my hero because he gave me this freedom. He enabled me to achieve an impossible dream. With his open-mindedness, optimism and courage, he was able to pass my disability to see me as a person and what I'm capable of. Many of the heroes that we hear about are the Shackletons of the world. These great, inspiring people who become legends. But heroes are also everywhere among us. They are the people in our lives, like Steve, who inspire, motivate and enable us to follow our dreams. Thank you.
The Hero Roundtables are the global events that ask the question, what is a hero? You've just seen one hero talk. To find more and join the conversation, visit our website or social media.